value. So when price does this, value then does that, right? But obviously what can sometimes happen is we can start to see something like this, and we can start saying, wait a second, okay, when price does this, value does this, and we go, okay, good stuff. When price does this, value does this. Okay, good stuff. When price does this, value does that. Okay, now we're starting to reach perhaps a little inflection point. Well, that's what happened to the S&P in that last rally. And it happened on the previous two rallies as well. The previous rally, when the price rallied, it did drop a little bit, but it didn't collapse. It didn't completely flip over. As you lift the floor, there's always a good chance that because you're lifting the floor, the ceiling will cave in. You know, when one thing moves, another thing might happen. That's why we use this very efficiently on things like oil against the crack spread. You know, when one price is part of the skew, obviously that's what we have to understand, right? It's different if it's two different value lines. You know, if I'm doing gold against the euro dollar, when gold rallies, there's no reason why the euro dollar necessarily has to sell off, unless, of course, it is a spread trade and people are selling euros and buying some gold, for example. That might well be what's happening. But if the value line includes the value, so for example, the crack spread includes the oil price, the equity skews, they include the equity prices. So therefore, the rally of one may well always collapse the value of the other. When it doesn't, that's great news for a bullish move. So you can see that bullish move has just popped another leg higher, which is nice. That's what I was just about to obviously mention. That was the whole point of what I was talking about, was it has just popped another leg higher. So we're buying into that for a phase until we see it changing. Have we just seen it changing? Well, we can see in terms of the short term, that last rally had the market dropping in terms of value. So what I do in that situation, well, it's gone too far, guys. So my next trade is to then take my monies and wait for the value to build back into the trade again. Now, it might well be a case of buying straight back in, but obviously that's what I'm always looking for when I see these storylines evolving. I still think it's bullish, by the way. I'm not closing my trade. I still think the overall shape looks very good because this purple line, if it was going to rotate, the purple line, the ceiling would have dropped down to a floor narrative. And that would have been the end of the up move. But I really like what I'm seeing just now. And obviously this has been a story that's been evolving for a long time here. If we look at it from a macro scale basis, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. The rally of the floor did not collapse the ceiling by as much. Whereas when we saw the trade to the downside, the collapse of the ceiling lifted the floor very aggressively. And obviously, if the floor's getting lifted very aggressively in here, then obviously that's going to start putting in a bottom edge for me to start working bids. And that's exactly what I did. Started to put in bottom edges, started to work some bids, made a lot of money. We've made a lot of money, guys, on this trade. Now I'm still in a trade on this one. I'm still in a small 5-lot trade on Ninja Trader. And this is the trade as it stands at the moment. You can see that on a 5-lot, we're up $3,600. That's pretty good. So $3,600 on a 5-lot from that previous bottom edge. Pretty easy stuff, right? Pretty easy stuff. And you just got to keep doing it. You've got to keep pressing it. You've got to keep looking at it. You've got to keep adjusting to it. You just got to keep doing the work, guys. Got to keep doing the work. $3,500, $3,600, and we're looking strong. We're looking good. So you can see I'm not closing this trade out. I'm just taking some profits on that deal, okay? Just taking some profits. So you can see it's now completely flipping around here. See it? I'm just watching to see if the other component of the ceiling drops, which is obviously the blue line, which is the other skew. And if the blue line drops, we're probably going to start really starting to struggle in here. If I zoom right in, you'll see what I'm talking about. The blue line starting to come out the bottom edges here. And that means it's a bit of a struggle for these guys to keep buying at higher prices. And that's something we just recognize and take note of. Okay, my buying bonds has worked out beautifully. We got up to 159, so well done anybody that joined in that. If we've been talking about this morning about, we've been talking about the tens, twos tens absolutes, and we got the perfect absolute storyline kicking off in here. And I'm very wary of the delta hedge. I'd been selling up to this point. And we got the 2s10s starting to rally here. And it looked on the face of it to be very good, but that rally seemed to be a little bit laggy. Why is it lagging as much as that? I'm not sure. So I'm starting to think to myself, okay, perhaps there's a seller in the 2s10s. That's why it's lagging. If there's a seller in the 2s10s, this bond price has to be going higher. So when the absolutes started to do exactly what the absolutes do best, and they absolutely start to show me lower highs, lower lows, well, guess what I'm going to be doing when a higher high comes in the 2s10s? I'm going to close off my short position, which is exactly what I did, and just hope I get a retest to buy into. Otherwise, I'm going to be chasing this bad boy all the way back up that narrative. Now, why did I wait? Because I was waiting to see what was happening to that delta hedge. So when I saw equity starting to get moving on the reversal here at that stage, I thought, you know what? I'm going to take my pop at equities here. I'm going to take my pop, at bonds here. Started to buy some 11s, 12s, 13s, 14s, 15s, and 16s. Willing to cross the spread because I think I've probably got about 5 or 6 ticks in that trade. And obviously the whip through that top edge. You can see the top edge price, the bottom edge price, and obviously from that top edge, bottom edge narrative, target price was achieved without too many difficulties into the 159 print. And what am I looking for? Yes, we already know what we're looking for because we can see what the storyline is of the absolutes versus the 2s10s. The absolutes are dropping from this narrative. So we're getting that offer into bonds right there. And there it is. So we can now recognize with equity starting to catch a bid, which is the equity we keep talking about because we're still long that equity and we're up $4,100 on a 5 lot, guys. $4,100 on a 5 lot. Anyway, so equities have come back in again. And obviously, based on the rally in the absolutes, we've got the 2s10s making lower lows. It's time to get selling bonds. And obviously that's giving us a very, very strong exit for that previous long trade. And it's time to get short, yes? And, well, let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. Beautiful. I'm tooting right, it's beautiful, guys. I'm tooting right, it's beautiful.